I remember it was the most beautiful day of 2001. It was one of the top 10 days. And we got a call, my coworker and I, we got a call that a lady needed assistance in the subway station, the Chambers Street subway station. And we got down there, and apparently what had happened was her electric wheelchair scooter had broken getting on the subway somewhere uptown. So instead of taking the police report that she needed to get the scooter repaired, I said, let's go upstairs to your office. You work on the 20th floor. We'll make phone calls, do the paperwork, nice and comfortable. And that's exactly what we did. We took her up to her office, and lo and behold, it's one of those things where my coworker said, today's my birthday. It's 9/11. Today's my birthday. I said, oh, okay, happy birthday. He said, no, I'm just letting you know, really weird things happen on my birthday. And that was the understatement of the century. So we take the woman upstairs to her office, and in the middle of the report, I had done everything I had needed to do. And I was on the phone with one of my lieutenants, letting him know, listen, we're just about finished, made all the phone calls I have to make, letting you know what we're doing. And I hear an explosion. And it's one of those things where you're like, okay, that's not supposed to be happening. And with the explosion, it's, I still tell friends and family, they don't believe it. As low as the 20th floor, the building shook side to side about 3 feet, just knocking us off, getting us unsteady on our feet. And I was like, wow, that's, I know obviously that's not supposed to be happening in a structure this big. So my partner walks over, he looks out the window, and he sees debris. I see debris falling past the window. And, it's one of those things that you don't put together immediately, but then your brain processes that some of the debris are bodies falling past the window. And with that, we said, listen, we don't know what's going on. Everybody get out. And let's all go, pack it up, let's go. And with that, I hear somebody screaming over the radio that an airplane had just hit the building. Now, I'm not thinking commercial airliner. I worked around jets 7 years before I was a cop. I'm not thinking commercial airliners. I'm thinking Hudson River. It was a little seaplane that had hit the building. And we get everybody out. We go from 29 down to 20, evacuating everybody. We don't care what's on the PA system in terms of, stay in place, things are going to be fine. Everybody get out. And, we're making our way down. And the thing I also remember about that night or that day is it was odd to me that such a big structure had such a narrow stairwell. And I'll always tell people that more people would have gotten out if the stairwells weren't as narrow as they were. And, we're going down the steps and, trying to make our way down. And firefighters, we have to get out of the way for the firefighters that are coming upstairs, because that's how narrow it was. It was only, I want to say, as narrow as 2 or 3 people tops. So, it takes a while. And while we were still in the stairwell, I hear another explosion. And I'm wondering, okay, another explosion, is that a secondary device? What's going on? Now your gears are turning. You're like, what is going on? Now you realize that wasn't an airplane. This is intentional. It wasn't an accident. And we're making our way down. And that's when I hear, again, another airplane just hit the second tower. And now you realize we are under attack. We've got to get out of this building. So things get a little bit more hurried. You don't want to let people really know what's going on to panic anybody. You just want to keep them moving along. So it was odd to me that, again, we're going down, firefighters are going up. We have to keep slowing down for people that are going up, going up the stairs, because, again, the stairwells are so narrow. I feel like I'm, repeating myself with that, but that's one of the things that always sticks in my mind, and how narrow the stairwells were for such a big structure. And, we make our way down to the lobby finally, and I could not believe the devastation that I saw in the lobby. And it was just, I think you've been to the Trade Center before, so you remember the marble and everything, just pieces of marble everywhere, water everywhere. Um, so we're, trying to make our way out. And I remember a young man having in the middle of a, not a panic attack, I think it was a full-blown asthma attack. And I remember this young lady helping him. I pick him up under his arm, and we're trying to get him out. So finally, another gentleman helps us out. And to this day, I'd love to find this woman, because I was thinking to myself, how unselfish was it of this woman to help as much as she could. And then she told me, I have to get out of here. She said, I'm pregnant and I want to make sure that I'm safe and the baby's safe. And with that, I said, listen, go. I totally understand. We'll make our way out. Don't worry about it. You worry about you. You worry about your unborn baby. And 19, 20 years later, I always wondered what happened to her and how her baby fared. But we make our way outside finally. Now we're on Church Street, right? Church and Vesey. And oddly enough, this is one of the weird things you think about. I look up at the building that's on fire, and I thought to myself, the weirdest thought in the world. I'm a big movie guy. I'm not a sports guy by any means. And I remember saying to myself, Hollywood has it really right in terms of their special effects, because it's surreal. This is a scene out of a movie. This is not what you see in real life. So, we keep getting people out. We're trying to, marshal people out. We're getting, listen, don't move, don't stop, just keep going, go anywhere, go home. And I know it's weird that people kind of, I guess, panic or don't know what to do. I always found it funny that I got so many of these questions. What do I do now? And in my brain, it's like, well, your office building is on fire. I think it's time to go home, you know? And I always found it weird that, people stop and what do we do now? There's really not much you can do. The entire structure's, on fire. It's time to go home. So with that, I saw one of my coworkers and I just ran over to check on her. And no sooner than I check on her, I'm walking out and I hear this crackle, and it's hard to explain. Have you ever heard thunder crackle in a storm? And I remember that's what it sounded like. And I'll never forget that sound, because it didn't sound like an explosion. It sounded like crackling thunder. And with that, I'm standing on Vesey and Church, and I didn't turn around to look. I made it as far as my vision made it as far as the Millennium Hotel, which was basically a big mirror. And I saw the structure coming down and basically ran like Satan was after me. It's too funny because I'd never been scared of any of the events that day to that point. And I remember running as fast as I could, getting caught in the dust cloud that you always see in the videos, from 9/11, and going from beautiful blue sky to pitch black, not being able to see. And that's when I got scared. I said, I know for a fact I'm standing in the middle of the street. I thought some emergency vehicle was just going to come and blast me. So with that, kept running as much as I could. And I started to hear a voice, and somebody was saying, in here, help us, we have help in here. And I followed the voice and I made it to what I think was 20 Vesey Street, where we, could finally see what was going on, finally had a little bit of fresh air. And we just took it from there. We recollected ourselves and we just kept doing what we do. Basically, that was, you just try to go back, help as much as you can, do what you can do. And that's pretty much it. I've never had an issue talking about it, and I don't think I still do. But you know, every now and then you just reflect. I think on every anniversary you reflect and you just want to be quiet and in your own thoughts and you know.
At what point did you let your family know that you were okay?
Oh, it's odd that you mentioned that because again, not being a sports guy, I've always been a tech guy, so I always carried a cell phone and a Palm Pilot with me. And of course, this particular day, I leave the cell phone and the Palm Pilot in the car. And my wife had just changed jobs, so I didn't have her phone number in my brain. Um, I want to say it was a number of hours later before I can make that phone call and say, "Listen, I'm okay. Let my wife know I'm okay, and I'll see you whenever I get out of here."
What was the rest of the day like after you were finally safe?
It was, Shelley, it was surreal. You didn't think anything like that would happen. You never beyond your wildest dreams think something like that would happen, and then you don't think beyond your wildest dreams you'll be involved in it. Um, Going back, another unnerving situation was when the fighter planes were going by, and you're wondering what is going on in Manhattan that there are fighter planes buzzing the city. And I'm thinking we already know this is a terrorist attack. Not knowing that these are friendly fighter planes, I'm thinking they're going for bridges. They're going to hit other buildings. And it's one of those things, like I said, there's so many things going on in your brain. It's kind of hard to process all at the same time.
Anyone who was caught up in that dust cloud, their health is at risk. How is your health?
Thank God, Shelley, um, I do all my 9/11 checks, once a year. I do whatever they tell me to do. So far, so good. My lungs are still good. I do suffer from, some of the sinus problems, some of the GERD problems. Other than that, there's a lot of things that they can't explain. I just, for what, every now and then I'll wake up and my joints don't want to work. And we're talking to the 10th power. We're talking about swelling that would just knock anybody down. Um, I try to make it through, and I usually do. And you go to your visits, and they say, "Well, that's not covered. That's not covered." But when you do all the testing and all the blood tests and everything they have to offer, they don't have an answer for it. You have to think this has to be 9/11 related.
How did this change your perspective as a member of the NYPD, being part of this that day?
I really don't think it did. I would like to think I've always had a really positive outlook on what I do and policing. Um, I've always enjoyed what I've done, from day one to now. I've enjoyed every bit of it. Of course, we're going to have, our occasional bad days, 9/11 being one of them. But I really don't let it, I really try not to let things like this change who I am.
Do you suffer from any PTSD?
Honest to God, I don't think I do. I mean, I've spoken to friends and family, and, they are a little bit surprised at how I really don't have an issue talking about that day. Um, I don't broadcast it. I have some of the younger officers that are very surprised when they find out, the events that I was in that day. But it's like I tell them, it's not the kind of thing, I'm not just going to broadcast it. If you find out about it, I'll talk about it. But I'm not going to, go around with a big flag saying I was in 9/11. Ask me.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Um, I really don't think there's anything I really want to add. I want to thank you for doing this. Um, it's always great to know that someone is behind you, and I can't thank you enough.
Thanks. Yeah, see, I had no idea what your story was.
Yeah, I don't talk about it, and not that I want to advertise, but I think it's pretty safe to say that my partner and I that day were, in terms of NYPD, the first responders because we were there on the 20th floor. You know,
And
in
what
terms
happened to that woman?
of, she made it out okay. Everybody involved that, everybody that we were involved with that day, as far as I know, made it out okay. Um, it's so many years, it's literally 20 years later. I would like to think she's still happy and healthy. She was a mature woman, so I don't know if she's still around. So, but I'd like to think everybody is, got past that and lived their lives.
How much before the first plane hit, how long do you think you had been in the building?
Um, I want to say we were in the building maybe 10, 15 minutes tops.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, your partner sure said it all.
Oh, yes. Yes, he
My
did.
God,
Yes, he did.
that's so freaky. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Eric.
Shelley, thank you for everything you do. Thank you so much.